Okay. Few more people.
So we're home based out of Germany at the moment, yes, but in different parts.
Although we are in the same city.
Well, yeah, us too.
So what time is it in Germany right now?
It's 7:30 p.m.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
No problem.
So you guys have your whole day ahead in the US, and we have already basically finished our day, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I think, I mean, it's 36. So for Germans, already 6 minutes late, which is already a long time. So I think, Juliana, if you want, we can get started, and then we will just let the people in that are a bit late.
Yes, sounds good. So yeah, hi everyone, and thank you for being with us tonight for our webinar full of tips on how to travel around the US. So since things are getting a bit more improved with the vaccine rollout, we thought we'd examine some of the top locations and activities in the US this summer to help you guys get the most out of your vacations. So just a quick mention, we're going to be sending you guys a list of links at the end via email with some of the different resources that I'll be mentioning throughout the webinar. So don't feel like you have to jump on them. We'll put them in the chat as we go along, but you'll get them all at the end, don't worry. Additionally, we're going to be putting this webinar up on YouTube later, just in case you guys miss anything as we go through. So yeah, we are recording, but yeah, we're just using our faces, so don't worry. So yes, yeah, I'm Juliana from JoinMyTrip, and I'm your host tonight, but I also have great support from Anna.
Yeah, hi guys, I'm Anna, and I'm really looking forward to sharing some helpful information tonight to get you guys as inspired as we were by researching all the great places to see. But before we start, we do have some, I always like to call them house rules. We would like you guys to, yeah, just keep yourself muted during the webinar. If you're not sure how to, you will find the button on the left corner. But yeah, no worries. In the end, you can also ask some questions, like about anything that you feel like we haven't replied to in the webinar. But that will be in the end. So until then, we would like to keep yourself muted. And also, please use the chat respectfully. That would be great. Of course, feel free to send some greetings out there, but just use it respectfully. And of course, if you want to share your feelings, you have feel free to use the reactions on Zoom. You find them by clicking in the bottom at the bottom and the bottom middle, and then you can choose different reactions. So Juliana, what do you think? Should we try it now? So guys, are you ready for tonight?
Awesome.
Yay. Okay, all right, looks like you
Great
are.
to see.
Cool, perfect.
So yes, for the ones that are new with us, we'd like to introduce you first a bit to JoinMyTrip, so who we are and why we're putting on this webinar. So if you've ever been faced with the challenge of wanting to go on a specific trip and you were like super excited and couldn't wait to get started, but maybe you couldn't find anyone to go with you because yeah, they didn't like the trip or didn't have the time. Yeah, we realized that a lot of people were having this issue, and that's why we created the platform JoinMyTrip. So yeah, this platform is a place where we connect trip leaders and trip mates. Trip leaders are the ones organizing and planning trips. They can publish their travel plans on our platform, and interested trip mates can request to join their adventure. And as a trip leader, you can actually earn a bit of money for traveling, which is really nice.
Oi, você quer carninha?
Okay. So yeah, really, I mean, whatever budget, wherever you want to go, whatever travel activity you prefer, there are so many different options and opportunities. Whether, yeah, you like to be the one organizing or the one just joining the trip, you will always find a travel buddy that is ready for any adventure that you're planning to do. And yeah, I think this is the great thing about it. So currently, our community is 140,000 plus people, travelers strong. And yeah, definitely growing every day, which is amazing to see. And currently, we're representing the world's biggest community of trustworthy travelers.
Yes, so that's really why we're putting together these events, so that we can have a place to connect fellow travel lovers and empower you guys to explore together. So if you'd like to know more, feel free to check out our website. I'll just quickly post that link in the chat for you now, if you'd like to check it out. There you go. So Anna, yes, do you think you should give our audience a little overview of what we're going to be talking about tonight?
All right, sure. So here's the itinerary for tonight. First, we will go over some general tips and planning for your travels. A lot of you guys already might know a lot of the stuff, but we've packed in a lot of little varied bits. So I think you will be sure to learn something new tonight. And after this, we will go over different types of trips and activities that might interest you, and some trip plan ideas and locations that we have actually handpicked for you to inspire you for your next trip within the US. So as you can see, we've got ideas for foodies, history and culture, outdoor activities, road trip ideas, and just everything you might be looking for when considering, planning going on a vacation. And Juliana, do you want to get started with the planning?
Yes. So first, as we said, we'll give you guys a bit of insight into planning with a bit of advice from our side on some of the websites and resources that we use to get the best out of our trips. So first off, we're going to give some tips for the newbies. I know there's a lot of people in the chat saying they're from the US, but we have a few people who are not. And if you've never been to the US before or not sure of things, so we have a few tips for you guys. So first off, we're big, so we're very big. So if you'd like to plan your trips regionally instead of picking your favorite destinations, I know if you go to Europe, you can go to Paris and Berlin and Rome, and it won't take you that long. But if you try and go to Miami and LA in the same time span, you're not going to have a good time. So next up is sales tax. So when you're buying things in the US, sales tax is usually not included in the price. So just be aware of that. So sales tax kind of differs between states and within areas. So usually it's not included. So make sure you look up beforehand.
Actually, I remember because I lived in the US when I was a bit younger for half a year. And then I remember when I was living in Arlington, and then I was only paid like 7% of tax. And then once we went to Seattle to go shopping, and I escalated a bit in the Abercrombie and Fitch store, and then I had to pay like 11% or something. And I was like, no. Because at that time I was a student and I didn't have so much money. That was kind of sad.
Oh, yeah. I remember when I first came to Germany and I realized that the Euro store was actually a euro instead of like something else. I was like, oh, what an interesting concept, Yes. So next up, tipping. So tips are usually 15 to 20%. In my experience, it's usually been 20%. I don't know if it's different in different states. So I'm from upstate New York, so it could be different where you guys are. It's a bit of a big faux pas in the US not to tip, so just make sure that you do. So next up is, free water. If you go to a restaurant, usually tap water is free, and even at some mall shops or mall restaurants or things, you can usually just go up and ask and they'll give you some free water, which is nice. It's something I definitely miss in Europe.
I thought that was really nice. And another thing I really liked was the free refill of things. Like whenever you go somewhere, not whenever, but a lot of times it's that you just get a cup or something and you get a Coke, and then in Europe you would just get one Coke, but in the US you can just like go and refill it all the time. And I remember also one time we went to a burger place and I got French fries with my burger and I finished them. And then suddenly the waitress got me a new basket and I was like, wait, I didn't order that. And then my host there told me that, and now it's free refill. I think that was one reason why I gained so much weight when I was there for 6 months, but I kind of liked it. This would never happen in Germany though. So that's something different. And of course, besides this, also different measurements. So you have Fahrenheit, you have ounces, you have miles and pounds. So you just make sure that you're aware of that whenever you are buying something.
Yes. So next up, people do smile at each other and ask, how you're doing. I think some people get a bit put off by that if they're not used to it, but that's just how we greet each other. It's just normal. It's something I kind of miss here, but that's just how it is. Don't be intimidated by the process if you're not used to it.
Yeah, I actually love this. Like Germans should definitely start doing that, because I have the feeling as like when I smile at somebody, the person is just like, what does she want from me, kind of thing. That's something really nice.
Yes. So next up we have public transportation. It's really only good in cities or bigger cities. Some towns might have good ones, but usually it's not good to plan your trip like relying on public transportation. So just keep that in mind. Usually the car is king in the US, and we'll talk about that a bit more later, but just remember that.
Yeah, and then also remember that drinking is ages 21. And you will actually need an ID to buy alcohol, enter a bar or a club. And even if you're more advanced in years, policy-wise, they will probably ask you. So this is something I think is interesting to know, because in Germany, if you're not looking like 14, they might not ask you for your ID.
Yeah, and even if you're coming from overseas, they actually might ask you for your passport when you're entering like a bar or club. Mainly clubs will do that, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, that happened to a couple of friends of mine when they came to visit from Germany. They had to bring their passports because they didn't recognize these foreign driver's licenses or different IDs. So that can be a bit stressful, I think, but it kind of is the way it is, unfortunately.
I mean, going partying with my passport, I don't know if that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's not a good time.
Okay. I think another thing that is interesting, the emergency room and the ambulance is not free. So make sure that when you travel that you have an insurance to cover you, because it's not like it's so free as it is in most parts of Europe.
Yes. So with JoinMyTrip, we're actually covered if you are traveling through us, right? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So when you are traveling with a group from JoinMyTrip and you're officially like booked in the trip via JoinMyTrip, then the Allianz Travel covers you. Unfortunately, at the moment, just for Germans and Austrian citizens, but we're working on a solution, like a worldwide solution. But for Germans in Europe, like not for Germans and Austrians, it's actually worldwide. So also covers Mexico. Doesn't matter where you go. So that's actually really cool.
Yes. So another one to remember is laws do differ between states. So just make sure you keep that in mind when you're planning your trip. So, for example, smoking marijuana recreationally is legal in some states and not in others. So, or just in general, things like that to keep in mind. So, just make sure you look up the rules before you end up going.
Yeah, and then last but not least, credit card is king. Was something that I thought was really surprising when I lived there. Because you basically can pay something that costs $1 with your credit card. In Germany, they would not even let you do that at the moment. So I think that's also something good to know when you're traveling to the US. So I would say with these tips, we should be fine and be ready to go. So Juliana, are you onto transportation?
Yes, so picking your method of transit will largely depend on where you're going and how far it is from you. So if you're already in a city and you need to get around, there might be good public transport, but if not, you can just download Uber and Lyft. They're both great apps to help you get from point A to point B as easily as possible. It's my usual go-to when I'm back in the States. So however, if you're wanting to get around to a few places, driving your own car, of course, is the first and foremost most easy way, but sometimes your own car may not be sufficient, especially if you have like a group of people that you're wanting to travel with. So in this case, you can rent a van or an RV to go exploring. So we've included in the info packs, and we'll put some links in the chat as well for some good resources for RV rental sites that could be useful. Just keep in mind that most car rental places in the US require that you be 25 years or older. So don't run into that one. So just make sure you look that up ahead of time if they require that. So the first one I want to recommend is called Motorhome Republic. It's a website. In particular, as you can specify your rental by where you want to leave from and where you want to drop it off at, and as well as by different sizes and amenities. And also a really cool one I found was Outdoorsy, which kind of works like Airbnb for RV rentals. And you can arrange your own rentals with an RV owner themselves. So it's a lot cheaper than traditional methods of RV rental. So I'll put both of those links in the chat if you'd like to check those out.
Yeah, I think it's the same as Paul Camper in Germany. And I really like about it that you can also get like some really crazy vans or something, like, those hippie vans or something if somebody's renting it out. I always wanted to travel in a hippie van. So this is maybe the place to find your hippie van where you can travel with for a weekend. So the second option, of course, would be buses or trains, as Juliana previously mentioned. Outside of the major transit hubs, trains and buses can be a bit tricky or not even existing. So we would honestly recommend buses instead, like the long distance buses, as prices. The price one is roughly similar, if not even less. And yet there's far more options for you. My topic for the comparing the prices for these buses is Wanderoo. As you can have a really good overview of like your different options, and then just pick the one that you think makes the most sense of the journey that you're gonna have. So what about planes, Juliana?
Yes. So when you're planning flights, the best resource I honestly use is just Google for flight comparisons. But one tip that I was given is might be a good idea is whichever site you use, just delete your cookies before searching, or go incognito mode before searching, because sometimes sites monitor to see if you visited in the past and what sorts of flights you looked for, and actually might show you more expensive flights as a result. So yeah, clearing your cookies gives you a fresh search, and yeah, can sometimes lower the prices as well.
Yeah, this strategy actually has already saved me a lot of money. And another tip that we can also give you guys, if you can make your flights go between major transport hubs, like airports in major cities, even if it's like a few hours out of the way for you, it can really cut down the price overall if you can avoid a layover. So just rather take the bus or the train to a bigger airport, and then it's going to be a bit cheaper. Yeah, we always do that here in Frankfurt. It's the biggest airport in Germany. For us, it's like a bit longer to go, but it's way, way cheaper to fly from Frankfurt. Yeah, and then in addition to Google, what I also like to do is checking out Skyscanner and Kayak. At Kayak, you can also look at actually all different kinds of rentals, not only flights. And it's, yeah, as a website that just, yeah, you can use to just compare prices and, yeah, when you're planning out your flights. But just make sure to always use them in incognito mode or delete your cookies, because otherwise your flights will get more expensive as the more that you search for them. So yeah, I would say enough about transportation. Juliana, which tips do you have for accommodation?
Yes, so I have a couple. So if you've gone the RV route, you might be wondering where a good place to camp out would be. So some tips would first be to check out Campgrounds of America's resource. That's campground with a K, as they have a huge selection of campgrounds across the country. And you can search for state by just the one that would make the most sense for you. Additionally, we'd recommend checking out Reserve America for an overview of many different campgrounds that you can check out. I'll post both of those links in the chat for you now.
And yeah, if you're not going that route, websites like, for example, booking.com are a great resource for getting a bird's eye view of hotels and their availability and prices. And if you're specifically looking for a hostel, of course, Hostel World is also a great resource as well for checking out all the different hostels in an area, and not just for accommodation purposes, but by now also for experiences that they might offer. It's a bit like Airbnb experience. And yeah, for me, talking about Airbnb, it's personally always my favorite website to find accommodation. A bit like with the outdoorsy for the campers for Airbnb. Yeah, you can just have the opportunity to have a big variety of experiences by just staying in a local accommodation with some locals and getting in touch with the people and that are actually living in that area. And yeah, it's just these experiences I think are always the best, better than just staying in like a normal hotel. And sometimes, of course, if you're lucky, then if you have a really friendly host, he or she might be willing to take you and your travel buddies around and just show you some of the secret spots of the city. And yeah, and talking about travel buddies, Juliana, any tips on finding some good ones?
Yes. So yeah, of course, sometimes this can be a challenge if you don't have enough people on board, as travel can bring out almost opinionated traits. Yeah, so I know we're probably a bit biased mentioning this in the webinar, but I feel that our platform, JoinMyTrip, really is just the best resource for finding like-minded travelers to join you if you're looking for travel mates. So one option for you would be to join one of the trips that we have on our website and let the trip leaders do the work of organizing everything for you. That way you can have all of the benefits of a more kind of personal trip without all of the hassle of putting everything together yourself. But however, if you feel like you're up for it, you can post your own trip, and that will allow you to create the perfectly tailored experience, and that you can invite people along for. So yeah, but if that seems a bit intimidating, don't worry, our team can help you along every step of the way.
Yeah, definitely. So if you need a bit of assistance with the process, I myself will be hosting a webinar on May 12th, so next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, I think. And we'll take you, guys, through the whole process of putting together a trip on our platform from start to finish, and show you how to find the best travel buddies and anything. I basically have, no, not basically. I have done, I think, 8 trips with JoinMyTrip by now, and I think I will never travel anymore in a different way because I just love it. And yeah, if you're not able to make it next week because you're working or you just have some different plans, you can also check out the Trip Leader webinar on YouTube. But of course, it's not going to be as much fun as it's going to be live, because I will host this one with our CEO. And yeah, when you join, you also have the opportunity to ask questions, of course, in the end. So yeah, if you like it a bit more personal, then yeah, you can just join the webinar. But also, if you then still have questions and maybe you, I don't know, have something that you want to share, you can also set up a one-to-one onboarding with me. We will share my Calendly link, so you can just book yourself a slot in my calendar, and then we will hop on a yeah, quick call where you can just ask your final questions, basically. And yeah, so this is your options. If you are yeah, maybe a planner and you like to plan your own trips, then feel free to join. We do have actually a lot of people requesting trips in the US, so yeah, searching for trip leaders still, so feel free to set something up. And yeah, I would say now let's just discuss a bit about the current situation inside the US. Maybe that's interesting for our listeners.
Yeah, so something people had requested in some of our previous webinars. So yeah, when it comes to traveling in COVID, yeah, there's a few things to keep in mind. So currently there is a travel ban in place on Europeans coming into the US, but this is likely to change very soon. The European Council has already announced that it's going to be accepting vaccinated American travelers, so I'm pretty certain they'll exchange the favor sometime soon. But yeah, I think things move a bit slowly in Europe sometimes when it comes to all of this, but yeah, you can expect that that should be lifted. So if you're from the US and traveling around, it will always be best to check the regulations of each state that you're going to. So yeah, if they require an entry form, test, or quarantine period, but a lot of those are relaxing very steadily. So yeah, Biden announced that the 4th of July is a benchmark date for allowing people to gather in small groups again. So yeah, but if you're able to get the vaccine before you start your journeys, yeah, that's just the best option, because that will let you move a bit more freely and have more options. If you'd like to know a bit more in detail about traveling around the world at the moment, so I'm hosting a webinar on the 19th of May about how to travel this summer. So some of you may have already attended, but each month I try to bring a bit more up-to-date information each time about regulations, activities, and safety precautions. So yeah, you can be confident in getting back to traveling this summer. So I will post that link in the chat for you now, for you to check out if you would like. And next we are on to our trip types.
Yes, I'm happy to do that. So onto our first trip type, outdoor and adventure. This is for all of you that are craving for a connection with the nature and outdoor. And yeah, now we will share some of our top picks yeah, for travel destinations for outdoor adventure, which include yeah, our first destination is Hawaii. Yeah, in particular, the Big Island. Of course, all the classic water activities like surfing and scuba diving, but also checking out volcanoes, yeah, Volcano National Park, and taking a helicopter ride or going on a lava tour. Yeah, I think are all great ideas for people that just love adventure.
Yes, so yeah, that's still on my bucket list to check out. So of course, Grand Canyon is next, classic choice. But yeah, I've got gorgeous views, hikes, opportunities for camping. Yeah, best to look up and plan for one of the many trails ahead of time before you embark, so you can plan things out a bit more easier and yeah, have a bit more of a structured trip.
Yeah, this one is actually also on my bucket list. Problem with our bucket list that it's growing every day working in this company. But yeah, so I have to get started soon again. But next up is Alaska. Lots of opportunities for camping and hiking in the absolutely gorgeous nature. To the national parks, you can also take a ride on the Alaska Railroad and check out some glaciers and have a look at the Northern Lights. So I think, yeah, Alaska kind of like has it all.
Yes. So, and lastly, I'd be remiss not to mention upstate New York as a native. Yeah, I'll have to recommend as a great destination for outdoor exploring, especially during these summer months. So you've got endless opportunities for parks. So Letchworth State Park in particular is one of my favorite to visit. That's the one in the photo there. And yeah, we've got a lot of beaches along the on the Great Lakes. We've got the lovely Finger Lakes region with lots of yeah, opportunities for wine trails. And yeah, we've got sailing, canoeing, rafting. I mean, there's plenty to do during the summer outdoors.
Did I hear wine? I would definitely join this trip if we're gonna have wine together. I think, yeah, also just traveling with locals is the best you can do. So don't go without me, Juliana.
Happy to have you.
So, nice. Yeah. So yeah, the trip that we would recommend you guys is our trip leader Katharina is actually planning an Alaska road trip on starting on August 24th until the September 14th. And yeah, she is gonna travel in late summer. My Alexa's talking to me again.
Oh no.
Wow, this happens every webinar. My Alexa gives me like some
I'm gonna unplug
reminders
mine
to
now.
wash my
Now
laundry.
you've made me paranoid.
Okay, so anyways, if you guys are interested in yeah, including stops, seeing like Anchorage, Denali, Fairbanks, and more, yeah, we will link the chat to for you guys in the chat, so you can just check it out for some more details. Get in touch with Katharina, and maybe you guys can travel together soon.
Awesome. So one of our next trip highlights will be from trip leader Marcus. So he's got a really cool backpacking route through the Grand Canyon planned for late August. So I'll warn that this one has been advertised as for the more adventurous of you, as it goes on a few more difficult trails. But if you're up for that challenge, we can post the link in the chat and you can send him a message and check out that trip. Yeah,
so and then next up are some ideas for foodies. Definitely my favorite topic, I think. I think besides adventures. So we honestly couldn't stick to 4 categories, so we will give you 6 of our top picks. And it's always, yeah, just as a reminder, good to keep an eye on different food blogs to see where the new hotspots are popping up in the future. We did that for you guys. So for now, here's our top 6 picks. So first of all, of course, yeah, New York City, the classic choice. Top foods would be some New York style pizza, bagels, anything from Chinatown, and of course, of all the other cultural towns in general. There's just so much food to explore in New York City, so definitely a good place to go. And then next up is New Orleans, with some of the most unique cuisine in the country, in my opinion. So you have top food choices, including I can't say that word, beignets, jambalaya, and muffulettas. Oh, sorry guys, I'm so bad at pronouncing this.
That's pretty good.
I trained so much for it. But yeah, honestly, there's so much to mention. So we're going to send you guys this really, really cute video of these 2 Swiss tourists trying out the Simpsons Food Challenge through New Orleans, as it gives you guys a really broad look at the cool and unique dishes you can try there. So we're going to send it now in the chat. Yeah, you can just watch it later in the day or tonight, depending on what time it is at your place.
Yes, so next up is Boston, for those of you that love yourself some New England cuisine. So yeah, our top picks are, of course, clam chowder, lobster rolls, baked beans, and of course, Boston cream pie. So yeah, next up we have Orlando, Florida. Actually, a little known fact is that Orlando has the most food trucks per capita of any city in the US. And I'm an absolute sucker for a food truck, so I had to add this to the list. So I could list all of the different types of cuisines on offer, but honestly, we'd be here all day. So I'm just going to send you guys a link that includes over 200 different food trucks around Orlando, where they are and what they make. So you can check that out now. So yeah, I'll send the Simpsons Food Challenge as well. Yeah. 1 second. And yeah, there you go. Next up, we have Austin, Texas, for some good old Texas barbecue. So top picks for Austin would be, yeah, beef brisket, sausage, pork ribs, just, yeah, anything that has meat. But yeah, also an Austin favorite is the breakfast taco. So there's a few places that make that are worth checking out.
Sounds good. Now I'm really getting hungry. But yeah, finally is Portland. So you have plenty of variety of foodie paradise, as well as a huge hub for food trucks as well. And we recommend you trying some Thai food, especially the chicken wings. And of course, I was told the voodoo donuts are supposed to be really, really good. So yeah, I would say after all this food inspiration, I definitely need some dinner after this webinar. Yeah, so yeah, first of all, we will yeah, head on to one trip recommendation from our trip leader, Tom. If you like to have a bit of a guidance through the culinary world of New York, yeah, he got up a 5-day trip to take you around the city and to show you the best places to eat, with actually 1 day entirely devoted for foodies. So the dates are completely flexible at the moment. So yeah, you can just check out some more details on the link, get in touch with Tom, and then see yeah, when he's actually going to go on his trip. So that's actually really cool. And then, of course, one thing that I can just really recommend, because it's, I think, one of the most funniest show I've seen on YouTube. My colleague Marielle, or our colleague Marielle, is hosting a travel food show. Yeah, that is definitely a highlight for every foodie in this webinar. She highlights, and also that's the funny part about it, tries out some different foods from cultures around the world. And believe me, it's hilarious. So definitely something you should check out. So yeah, we have to stop talking about food, otherwise this is not ending good. So let's talk about wellness, Juliana.
Yes, I think the food thing we'll have to, yeah, someone said, is this torture or travel tips? My stomach is screaming. So, yeah, sorry guys, apologies. But so yes, on to our next trip type, which is wellness. So yeah, for all of you that love yoga, meditation, hot springs, sauna, things like that. So this section will get a bit more specific and recommend specific retreats, because yeah, recommending a whole state would be a bit difficult for this one. So our top picks are, first up is Carbondale, Colorado, particularly the True Nature Healing Arts. It's a sanctuary retreat that offers daily yoga classes, movement classes, meditation, and a spa. And you have also as well a 1 acre peace garden and a center for wellness centered events. So yeah, we'll link you a bit more here if you'd like to check out that retreat, if you're maybe close to Colorado or would like to visit. Next up, we have Canyon Ranch in Tucson, Arizona. So this is an absolutely stunning retreat nestled in the desert. So they offer a lot of daily outdoor activities, life guidance coaches, and many more that you can check out on their website. So I'll just post that link for you guys.
Yeah, and then we have the Red Mountain Resort in Utah. This place looks absolutely stunning, as it's located nearby to several state parks. So many of the wellness-based activities are mainly nature-focused. As well, they have extensive spa facilities, steam rooms, and yoga classes. So that's actually something really, really nice. And then last but not least, the Lake Austin Resort in Texas. And you might, thinking that's a bit weird pick for wellness, but the Lake Austin Spa Resort's approach to well-being is super unique. You arrive via a 30-minute water taxi ride, and then are treated to a water-focused retreat. So you can spend it doing physically active activities, or just relax with immersive water-based massages. So that's actually something super, super nice. And yeah, I think just last but not, actually, now we have talked enough about culture. So let's dive a bit deeper into history and culture. So of course, this one is really, really hard to narrow down and is nowhere near inclusive, but some of our favorites we picked out for you. So Juliana, do you want to get started?
Yes, so my first pick is Philadelphia. So yeah, lots of historical sites dating back to the founding of the country, such as Independence Hall and Liberty Bell. But one really interesting one you can check out is Eastern State Penitentiary. So that was a prison built in the 1800s that is open for just walking around and so I guess someone just said Philadelphia has great food. The last time someone chided me for not including Philadelphia in the food section, I apologize. But no, Eastern State Penitentiary is a really cool one to check out if you want a bit more unusual history. So if you want a bit of more older history, Salem is a really great choice. There are a lot of museums and exhibitions dedicated to the rich trails of the 1600s. Sorry about that. When I was a kid, I went there many years ago, and it was such an interesting and unique experience. And it isn't too far from Boston if you'd like to make a double trip.
Double trips are always a really good idea in general. So next up is Washington, D.C., especially for the museum lovers. D.C. is definitely your city. There are countless museums, memorials, and historical sites to visit related to US, but also world history. I actually went to Washington 5 years ago when I was on a 2-week trip to New York, and then we did a quick, actually bus ride to DC, and I really, really liked it. And to be honest, I'm really not a big fan of museums at all. But I wish I would have stayed longer because they were really, really interesting. So I only recommend that one. And then our final pick is the category is Santa Fe in New Mexico. You can find several museums, galleries focused on Native American art, architecture, and culture. As well, there is a big event of Indigenous art market during late August, which hosts sellers as well as exhibitions of Indigenous artwork from the region. Of course, we don't know if it's gonna take place this year. We hope, fingers are crossed, but in normal times, this market would happen. So yeah, as we already mentioned in the beginning, this was really just a teeny tiny small glimpse into what the US has to offer for culture and historical lovers. But yeah, I would say now, Juliana, it's time to go on a road trip.
Yes, I am in. So for our last little section here, we'll give you guys 3 of our top road trip routes and a few of the stops that you can take along the way if you would like. So we would recommend if you were to do the whole thing, it'd take about 3 to 4 weeks. But yeah, of course, it's a very long time. So you can choose whatever stops you want to take. You can cut them out, do whatever you'd like, do just 2 or 3 of them. Yeah, and we'd recommend you budget around $60 a night if you'd like to stay in private accommodations. But if you rent an RV, so you can get one usually for around 100 to 150 a night on Outdoorsy. So that can lower the cost to about 30 a night, including camping fees if you have a group with you. So as well, you can find some really great Airbnbs that are hostels along the way that can be shared amongst you. And so that can keep you around that $30 price point, which is usually what I try and make sure I budget for places when I go. So yeah, the great thing about having a dedicated trip leader through JoinMyTrip is that they can do all of the comparison shopping for you. And they're of course also motivated to have a low price so that you are guaranteed to get the lowest price, which is really nice. So Anna, care to start us off?
Yes, I think I'm the worst driver on this planet, but I'm definitely ready for a road trip. So we will be starting off on the East Coast with a total of, roughly 1,500 miles for the entire route. But of course, as Juliana already mentioned, you can just do whichever length you prefer. The trip would begin in New York City and then on to Philadelphia and DC. So you will have a lot of historical options to check out. And then continuing with a historical tourism theme down south onto the Carolinas to see Charlotte and Charleston and Savannah, Georgia. Finishing up, you can enjoy a bit of that city life with a little tour of Florida, hitting Jacksonville, Orlando, and of course, all of the beautiful parks you can visit there. And then finally, you end up in Miami for some partying in the sun. Wow, this sounds amazing. I haven't been to a party in the last 2 years, I think. Wow. So this road trip definitely has it all. Juliana, I would say now we will go to the West Coast.
Yes, so this massive national park tour covers 2,624 miles. So it involves, a lot of parks, so you can pick which ones you'd like. Otherwise, this would probably take you months. But this is definitely my dream tour if I were to take a trip like this. So it would start you off enjoying a bit of the Pacific Northwest with Olympic National Park and Crater Lake in Oregon. So after that, you'll make a little California tour hitting Yosemite, Sequoia, and Joshua Tree National Parks. This is also my dream trio. If I could just do that, I'd be very happy. Afterwards, you'll go on to Arizona, where you'll hit Grand Canyon National Park, of course. And finally, you can head up from there to Colorado and see the breathtaking Rocky Mountains. So, yeah.
Wow, really sounds like a dream trip. Maybe I join. So, now we will go on our southern road trip. Our final trip recommendation would take you on a little tour, the mixture of history, culture, and food. The total distance is about 1,700 miles, so it's not as long as the last trip that we presented. And stops including Savannah, Charleston, and Charlotte, as we already have in our East Coast tour. But then we would be moving towards Nashville and Memphis to get a taste of Tennessee. And next over to Montgomery, Alabama, and Jackson, Mississippi, and finally ending up in good old New Orleans. So that's also really, really nice tour that also has a lot of things to offer.
Yes. So if you're inspired to go on the road, but all of this road trip planning is making your head spin, so we've got a few US road trips on our platform you can hop onto if you just like to, go along. So in particular, we'll highlight this really awesome offer from our trip leader, Philip, who's planning a massive month-long Route 66 tour all the way from New York to San Francisco. So we'll post that in the chat for you now, if you'd like to check that out. There we go. So someone's asking about the Eastern road trip again. So what we can do is we can send you the slides if you fill out our feedback form, so you can see that one again for your own reference. But I'll mention that a bit later as well. So after all of this, you're asking yourself, well, that sounds all well and good, but I'm not a student anymore who has a whole month or 2 months for a road trip. Then we've got one final suggestion for you. I know. So Anna, take it away.
Yes, my like life-changing thing I discovered in the last year is remote co-working. It's an innovative way of those of you that work from home to get out there and explore without having to use all of your vacation days. In essence, you just get some other people together. You can find them on, for example, JoinMyTrip. You book a nice location with maybe like a bigger one, a nice villa with a lot of rooms. And you then live there, you work together, or maybe you study from there and during the daytime. And then in your free time, you can explore the surroundings and in the weekend as well. So you basically don't have to travel somewhere on the weekend because you're already there. And this would allow you to just keep on schedule with your tasks while you are also exploring a new area and a beautiful location. And I think the thing that for me is the most beautiful thing about it, you meet like-minded people and you can have amazing conversations and find new friends. So actually, I myself got back last week from a fantastic trip to the Canary Islands. I've been working remotely there for 5 weeks with an amazing group of coworkers. I found them through the platform, and we had such a great time working together, laughing together, inspiring each other, exploring the islands, talking about life and life goals, cooking together, and of course drinking some wine or maybe a bit more wine, and just chilling at the beach. So I came home with tons of new friends that I already met 2 of them again last week. We had our first reunion. So if you would like to know a bit more about this whole working remotely and how it works, you can join my co-working webinar that I will be hosting on May 26th. I know it's 20 days to go. So you can sign up for it. It's also going to be online on YouTube. I think this week we're going to upload it, so it will be there. And if not, if you are now super into co-working and you would like to get started, remember you can always book that one-to-one with me, where I can also give you some special tips and tricks about how to get started with the whole co-working thing. For the ones that are stuck in homes, I can only recommend you guys, because for me it has changed my life. And it's always just a really nice experience.
It's not a great way to make your coworkers jealous.
Sorry.
No, I'm definitely joining next time. I'd really
you should.
So yes, we hope you guys have enjoyed all of what we've gone over. So we've got a lot of other events planned soon, and you can check them all out on our event page. So I'll post that link in the chat for you if you'd like. So for a couple of our upcoming events,
so we do have the Portugal Travel Inspiration webinar happening on May 11th. I actually have been working remotely from Portugal for 8 weeks last year. So I also do have some special tips and tricks for that country, which I think is one of my most favorite countries in Europe. So definitely worth a visit. And as we already mentioned, we have the Travel Buddy webinar the day after. And then something that might be interesting for a lot of you, we do have a new webinar on. Juliana is currently working on it. It's the Co-Learn and Travel webinar, where we will show you how to make not just a vacation, but a really, really cool vacation where you can actually learn something. Just feel free to check out the event page that we just posted in the chat to sign up for all the events. No worries, it's all for free, so you don't have to pay anything. And so now I think before we can start with our Q&A session, Juliana, we need you guys to give us a hand.
Yes. So as I said, we have a feedback form, and I'll post that link in the chat for you guys. So usually if you fill out this feedback form, we will get back to you with a PDF of all of the slides you saw here. So if you're interested in checking out some of those locations or giving a look at one of those road trip routes, you can receive all of those slides. I will send you guys the links that I posted in any case, but for the slides, we'll ask you to do the feedback form, but also you'll be entered in a little giveaway that we've got. If you're in Europe, it'll be about 20 euros, but if you're in the US, it would be worth $24 off of your next trip with JoinMyTrip. So if you'd like to enter that giveaway and get slides, you can fill out the feedback form, and I will post that now for you guys. So before we go, we'll go on to our questions section now. So if you guys have any more burning questions for us, you can post them in the chat and we'll answer, or you can just say them if you'd like.
I think there has been already one question in the chat. It's what the age range is of our community. So our main target audience is 25 to 35, kind of like this is the majority of the people, but lately we've realized that also a lot of people that are a bit older than 35 are also really active on the platform. So I would say it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what kind of crazy trip you have planned. Really, like, this is the place where you will find a person that is as crazy as you that will join your trip. So it really doesn't matter how old you are. I have taken trips with people that are 15 years younger, not younger, that would be weird, older than I am, and we had the best time. So it really, really doesn't matter age, I would say. Okay. Any other questions about the platform, about the US, about anything that you guys want to know? Feel free to either raise your hand or unmute yourself and ask, or just ask questions in the chat.
Well, I have a question. In the website, can I see which trip is to someone who's working from home, or just vacation?
Yeah, you can filter for co-working trips. So when you go to the website and then click on search, you get to the search page, and then you can select the drop-down menu and select the type of trip. And then if you click on co-working, then it will show you all the trips that are these work-related trips. I can actually
like a kind of workation.
Yeah, it's called in our platform. I think for you guys in the US, you call it remote work, and in Europe, it's more common to call it co-working. I will send you actually a link in the chat now. So this is already filtered. So when you click on this, you will see all the co-working trips that are at the moment online on JoinMyTrip. We do have, most of them are in Europe, some of them in Bali, Costa Rica. We also have one. So they're a bit spread out, but we're still searching for trip leaders in the US. So if you guys are working from home and want to organize a co-working trip, I could definitely send you directly like 15 people that want to join. So
that's why I've been traveling, working from home, like it's been 6 months.
Oh, wow.
So I do have a lot of places and I really want to do, and I'll keep in touch with you guys.
Yeah, just send me an email or something. We can hop on a call later this week or something, and then I'm happy to help you to set it up.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. I think there was another question
about Wi-Fi on the trips.
So this is something that when you plan a trip, Wi-Fi trip, a working remotely trip, of course, one thing that you want to make sure when you book an accommodation, what I usually do is before booking an accommodation, I usually go for Airbnbs, and then I would send the host a message and ask them about a screenshot of the speed of the internet. And what I also do is I always make sure to get like an extra SIM card with some extra gigabytes to just be able to have a hotspot in case you have at 1.5 people in the same Wi-Fi network. And I think in the US, correct me if I'm wrong, Juliana, the data packages are not so expensive. So I think it's easy to get like a 60 gigabytes or something for some dollars probably. In Germany, it's the worst ever. But I think most other countries in the world besides Germany are okay with that, with the prices. So that's, I think, the smallest issue. The cost for the platform, somebody asked. The platform is totally for free. So if you sign up, you don't have to pay anything. And as a trip leader, when you organize a trip, you also don't have to pay anything in order to list your trip. What we do is, if a trip mate books a trip through JoinMyTrip, we charge a small fee on top of the price that the trip leader wants to earn, or like needs to earn, for accommodation and transportation. And this is basically how we make sure that we maintain the website, we create new features and all that kind of stuff. And of course, we also pay the insurance from that money. So it's a bit like on Airbnb, where you also pay that small fee, just that as a trip leader, you don't pay anything.
Yes, and all your payments are secured as well through that. So if there's any like potential dispute between you and a trip leader, then we can actually become involved. If it's like outside of the platform, we can't really help you there if money's so.
Yeah, we use Stripe. I think in the US it's quite common, that payment system. So you can always make sure that we always have the support. So as soon as you book through the platform, you have a whole team of customer support in your bag in case something happened. But I mean, for now, I think we have never had any issues with any trip leaders or any groups. But PayPal is not, we don't have PayPal at the moment because it's quite difficult to integrate and it's has some really expensive thingies. So this is why we didn't have the budget so far to integrate it. But we will be launching our app actually soon. At the moment, yeah, we just have the website. It's mobile first, it's really optimized, but still not the same as an app. So for the ones of you that are Android users, you can stay tuned because if everything goes good, it will be launched in May. And then you will be also able to have that whole chatting with the trip mates and trip exploration a bit easier and a bit more handy directly on your phone. Okay, any other questions? Okay.
So yeah, thank you guys for your participation tonight. And I also would like to say thank you to Anna for joining me and helping me co-host.
Always, yeah, always happy to be your co-host. And yeah, we hope you guys learned a bit about the US and maybe you're now inspired to plan your own trip within the US. So as you already mentioned, feel free to get in touch with us or with Juliana, with Anna, with whoever in Join My Trip. You can reach us on any social media networks that you can think of. So check us out on TikTok, YouTube, what else? Clubhouse, Instagram, Facebook.
Yes, yeah, everything.
And yeah, thank you guys for joining. And maybe we will see you in one of our next webinars. We would be happy to see some of the faces again. And we do have some cool things coming up. So stay tuned and have a great day or evening, depending on where you are. And I think I will get some food now. Definitely.
Yeah, all right. Thank you everyone for joining. Yeah. So
thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Thanks and have a good day.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.